Hello everyone, see you again. And today I would like to talk about competitive advantages through the functional level strategy. So do you remember in the chapter 1, we said that for the firm's strategy, we can classify them into the functional level strategy, business level strategy, and corporate level strategy. And today I would like to talk about the functional level strategies. Okay, so in the three chapters, okay, we talk about that. We have the four factors that can help firms to build their competitive advantage, and they are superior quality, superior efficiency, superior innovation, and superior customer responsiveness. So today, okay, we would like to talk about and explain how firms can use functional level strategy to help firms to increase its efficiency, quality, innovation, and customer responsiveness. And for the functional level activities or strategy, it means the R&D, and marketing, and production, IT system, human resources management, right? So here we wanted to talk about how the R&D can help firms to increase its efficiency. Marketing, how marketing activities, help firms to increase his efficiency. So this is the functional level strategy, how the R&D, marketing, production, human resource management, to help firms to increase his efficiency, quality, innovation, and customer responsiveness. Okay, so this is our objective. Okay, so for the functional level strategy, functional level strategies means the action that improve the efficiency and effectiveness of one or more value creation activities. So next, I will talk about how the functional strategy can help firms to achieve the superior efficiency. So efficiency, what is the efficiency? Efficiency is means output divided by the input. So an efficient company has the higher productivity and therefore lower their cost than their competitors. Okay, so how can firms achieve superior efficiency? Okay, so first I will introduce how the production can help firms to increase its efficiency. And for production, here we will talk about the economy of scale, learning effect, flexible production systems, automation, and AI. So we can see here, economy of scale. What is the economy of scale? Economy of scale means the reducing in unit cost attributed to a larger output. So from this finger, left side is the finger, we can say that this is the unit cost, and the other dimension is the output, right? So here we can see the unit cost will reduce, associated with the larger output. So here, why can firms achieve the economy of scale? One of the reasons this is because firms' ability to spread the fixed cost over large production volumes. So larger the production volume, they can share. This is the fixed cost. And then the other terms here, we can see this economy of the scale. This economy of scale means the unit cost increased associated with a larger scale of the output. So we can see from the list finger, do you see this, the Q1? Okay. Beyond this, the Q1, we can see here the unit cost increased, right? Associated with the larger scale of the output. So here is the Q1. The Q1, the left side, okay, here, the firm have the economy of scale. However, beyond this, the Q1, okay, and then the firms will have this economy of scale. Here, why the firms have this economy scale? Okay, this is because the increased bureaucracy associated with the larger scale firms and the marginous inefficiency. So here the implication is that managers have to know the extent of the economy of scale as well as where the diseconomy of the scale began to occur. Okay. And the next is the learning effect. Learning effect means the cost saving that come from the learning by doing try and error. Okay, so here labor productivity is increased over time and the unit cost decreased as the individual learned the most efficient ways to perform a particular task. Okay, so this means because this the employee is the person because they repeatedly do the same thing, right? And during this the process, learning by doing try and error. So you find the efficient way, okay, to perform the task. Okay, so this is learning effect. And from the finger, we can see that. Okay, the red line, do you see the red line? This is called the time one. Okay, and the two dimension, this is the unit cost, and this is the output, right? Okay, so the red line here from the A point to the B point. Okay, this means the economy of scale because the unit cost reduced associated with the larger output. And do you see the yellow line? Yellow line here, okay, is the time two. Yeah, it's the time two. And from the red line to the yellow line here, okay, here we call it is the learning effect. So you can see any point, okay, on the yellow line. Here is the unit cost is lower than the red line here. Okay, so this we call it is the learning effect. Okay, it's the cost saving that come from the learning by doing try and error. And the other one, okay, firm can also use the flexible production systems, okay, to help them to increase their productivity. Okay, so central to the concept of the economy of scale is the idea that a lower cost structure through the massive production of the standardized output, okay, is the best way to achieve higher efficiency. Yeah, because here the economy of scale, yeah, the unit cost will be lower, right? When firms they produce the standardized output and with the larger output, right? So here in the concept of the economy scale, it means the firms they have to produce the standardized output. And this the concept, okay, it implies that there is an impractical trade-off in this idea between the unit cost and the product varieties. Yeah, product varieties means the firms, okay, they produce the different type of the products. Yeah, so here if the firms they produce different type of products with certain the volume. Okay, this will increase firms the cost. Okay, so the firms here, firms can use the flexible production systems. Okay, because the flexible production technology is allowed the firms to produce a wide variety of the end products at a unique cost that one time could be achieved through the massive production of a standard, that's the output. So the flexible production technology can help firms to reduce the setup time for the complex equipment. Okay, it can also help the firms to increase the use of the individual machines through the better scheduling and improve the quality control at all stages of the manufacturing process. And of course, it can also help firms, okay, to have the better customization of the products the offering. So flexible production technology, okay, is the good tool for firms to enhance their efficiency. And the other term, okay, here is the mass customization. Okay, this means that firms use the flexible manufacturing technology to recognize two goals that were once thought to be incompatible. This means the low cost and the differentiation through the customization. So from the list figure, okay, if the firms they just use the traditional manufacturing, so here we can see, okay, in our left side, we can see here, this is the yellow line, okay, yellow line, red line, and brown line here, and we can see also have the two dimensions. Here is the unit cost, and the other dimension is the product volume, okay, production volume and the product variety. Here we can see that, okay, first we see the yellow line here. Yellow line here is the means the firms the unit cost will be reduced associated with the larger production volumes, right? So here is reduced. And the real line here, we can see, okay, this is unit cost. However, unit cost will be increased associated with the more the products variety. Okay, so here is the cost increased, and here is the something like the economy scale. So this the cost, okay, will be reduced. And this line, do you see the total unit cost? Okay, is the point, okay, on the yellow line and real line, okay, plus and equal to the total unit cost here. So when you use the additional manufacturers, we can see, okay, the total unit cost is quite high. However, if the firms they use the flexible, okay, manufacturers, okay, so we can see, yeah, the yellow line here, okay, economy of scale here, okay, volumes related unit cost, okay, the same, he will reduce. However, we can see the red line here. Red line here is means if you use the flexible manufacturer, okay, the unit cost, yes, it will also increase. However, it's very small. So you can see here, the slope, okay, of this real line is flatter, right? And let's the same, the point, okay, on the yellow line and the real line, okay, plus is equal to this, the total unit cost. So we can see the total unit cost here, okay, it also will be reduced. So from the list to the figures, we can understand that if firms use the flexible manufacturers, okay, use a flexible production systems, it can help firms, okay, to produce the different the products, however, with the lower the cost. Okay, so this is for the flexible production systems. And the next, yeah, of course, the firms can also use the automations over the AI, these technologies, to help them to reduce its the cost and increase its the efficiency. Okay, so here we can see if the firms use some like the AI the technologies, okay, over the automated equipment. This can help firms to reduce its the labor cost, okay, and increase its the productivities. Yeah, so automated equipment and AI, it can also help firms to reduce its the production cost and increase its efficiency. Okay, so this is for the production and the efficiency. And the next, okay, I will talk about the marketing and the efficiency. Yeah, how the marketing the activity, okay, can help firms to increase its the efficiency. Okay, marketing strategy means the position of a company with the regard to pricing, promotion, advertising, product design, and distribution. And for the marketing and efficiency here, okay, I would like to emphasize is the customer defection rate. Okay, in Chinese called is the 顾客倍利率. It means the percentage of a firm's customer who defect every year to competitors. Okay, lower the customer defection help achieve the lower the cost of the structures. Yeah, this is because if the firms they wanted to acquire new customer, okay, often entail one-time fixed cost. And according to the survey, okay, it showed that if the firm wanted to acquire new customer, it cost 30% more than firms to retain the existing customers. Yeah, so let's likely here say that because acquire a new customers often entail the one-time fixed cost. Okay, for example, like the wireless service. Okay, for the wireless service, maybe okay the firm if they wanted to have a new customers, you can see that it have hired employees, right? Okay, so then in front of the table and help the customers, okay, to filter filter a lot of the data, right? So the administrative cost of opening a new account. And the second, okay, this the firms they also the cost of the cost of the subsidy that is paid to the manufacturers of the handset, the new subscribers' choice. And of course, the firms, okay, because they want to attract the new customers, so you have to do a lot of advertising and promotion. So they also have the cost of the advertising and the promotions. So the firms, if they wanted to acquire the new customers, okay, first, okay, maybe you have the administrative cost, okay, and the cost of the subsidy that it pay to the manufacturers of the handset, the new subscriber choice. And the other one is the cost of the advertising and promotions. So we can also see, okay, this is the fingers, we can say that if this the customer, okay, he can stay in this company for a long time. So here we can see the longer of the time customers stayed with this company. Okay, so you can see if they stayed for a long time, you can see the firms, okay, is the profit, okay, get from the per customer will be increased. Okay, so for the marketing and the efficiency. In the marketing strategy, the firms, they have to think about how to reduce the customer defection rate. Okay, so this is for the marketing and the efficiency. And the last, we talk about materials management and the efficiency. Here, materials management encompasses the activity necessary to get input and the component to the production facility through the production process and through a distribution system to the end users. Okay, and for the materials management, yeah, is the I think it's very important. Of course, it's important for firms. However, especially in the firm, especially for the firms in manufacturing companies. Yeah, this is because the materials and the transportation cost account for 50% to 70% of its the revenues. Yeah, so it's the cost. Okay, it's very high. Okay, especially in the manufacturers the company. So for the materials management, okay, it's important for firms, especially for firms in the manufacturers the cost. Yeah, because its cost account for 50% to 70% of its the revenues. And for the materials management, maybe the firms, they can use some systems. Okay, for example, like just in-time inventory the systems. Yeah, this kind of systems can help firms to reduce its the inventory the cost, right? And on the other hand, use this the systems can to have the goods arrival and the retail store only when the stock is almost depleted. So we can see here, for example, like this, the systems, they can help firms to reduce the inventory the cost, right? So this can help the firms to increase the efficiency. And for the R&D and the efficiency, how can R&D management help firms to increase its efficiency? Okay, we can see the R&D function can boost efficiency by design products that are easy to manufacture. Okay, so for example, maybe the R&D, okay, R&D this department, they can design the products, for example, before maybe you need 10 part or 10 step, yeah, to accept this the products. However, the R&D department, okay, they can redesign this the products. Okay, for example, now you just need the 8 part or 8 the step, yeah, to feasible this the products. So under these situations, you can see that R&D can decrease the required assembly time, which result in higher employee productivity, low cost, and higher profitability. Okay, and next, of course, firms can also for the R&D department, okay, they can also have the innovation, some process the innovation. So maybe pioneering the process the innovation. So the firm can develop process innovation with the new way that the production process can operate the more the efficiency. So like a Toyota, okay, it introduced just the in-hand systems. Okay, this is kind of the process, the innovation. Okay. And for the human resources and efficiency. Okay, for the human resources management, okay, we can see he have the four the ways to help firms to increase his the efficiency. Okay, first, hiring the strategy. Okay, maybe when firms they want to find the employee, maybe you have find this the employee is considered with the internal organization culture and the strategy, the priorities of the firms, right? So when firm wanted to hire the employees, maybe you have to hire appropriate the employee and put it in the right place. Okay, and the second, okay, firm can also provide the good chain for the employees. So employees who are highly skilled can perform tests faster and more accurately, and are more likely to learn the complex tasks associated with many modern production methods than individuals with less skills. Okay, so the firms they have to provide the employee the training programs, yeah, for the employees, okay, to improve their capabilities and the skill. And the third is the self-managing teams. Okay, the characteristic of the self-managing teams. Okay, it means who's the member coordinate their own activity and make their own hiring, training work, and reward decisions. So for the team members, okay, in the self-management teams, okay, we can see because each team member, okay, they have to learn all the team tasks and rotate from the job to job. So under this kind of the situation, we can find that, okay, maybe this can help firms to have more flexible workforce. Why? This is because the team members, okay, because they learned all the team tasks and rotate from the job to job, right? So maybe if one day, okay, maybe one of the team members is sick, yeah, and it cannot work for a long time. Under these situations, because the team members, okay, they learned all the team tasks and rotate from job to job, so they can help, right? Help they can do the task, okay, of the employee who is sick and cannot work for a long time, so they can, okay, do this little job. So this is why the self-management teams, okay, self-management teams can have the more flexible workforce because they can help, yeah, each other, and they can also do the others test, right? And finally is the pay for performance. Yeah, the firms they have to link pay to performance. Yeah, because this can help to increase, okay, employees the incentive and motivations, right? So link pay to performance can help increase the employees the productivities. Okay, so for the human resources management, okay, first hiring the strategy. Find the person is considered with the internal organization, culture, and the strategy priority of the firms. Second, provide appropriate the employee training programs to the employees, and this can help them to enhance their capability and the skill. and then increase their productivity. Okay, and the self-managed teams. Okay, these teams can make the firms have the more flexible workforce. And finally, okay, link pay to the performance. Okay, and this can increase the employees' incentive and the motivation, and result in increasing the employee productivity. Okay, so this is the for the human resources and efficiency. And for the IT system and efficiency, yeah, here IT the information systems. Okay, the impact of the information systems on productivity is wide range, and potentially affect all other activities of the companies. Yeah, this is because, for example, like the R&D department, yes, they also need the IT system, right? Marketing department, yeah, also need the information systems. Production is also need the information systems, right? So this is why here said that the impact of the IT system on productivities is well ranged and potentially affect all other activity of the companies. So if the firms, okay, they have the appropriate or advanced IT systems, they can help firms to have the cost saving. Okay, so for example, they can move the customer service and the orders online. So for example, like a bank, yeah, now we can see that like how long don't you go to the physical bank? Yeah, maybe now I think almost of the service we can done online. Yeah, for a bank, right? And the IT systems can also help firms to reduce his staff, so he can help firms reduce the reducing the staff, reducing the number of the employees. So this can also help firms to reduce their operational cost. Okay, and the next, yes, reducing the physical store. So we can see now many business, yeah, is online. So they reduce the physical stores. So all of this can help firms to reduce its cost. So even like in the supermarket, okay, like the Carrefour over the Artima.Renfa, now they also have the online shopping website. Yeah, so this can also help them to reduce the cost and increase its operation efficiency. And finally, for the infrastructure and the efficiency. Okay, here for the infrastructure. So do you remember I said that the firm's infrastructure is determinate the context within which all other value creation activity take place, right? So from the for the infrastructure, because it increases the control system, incentive system, and the cultures and the strategic leadership. And here, okay, I would like to emphasize the strategic leadership. Okay, and for the strategic leadership, okay, if the firms they want to increase his efficiency, first the company, especially the top managers or the CEO or the top manager, they have to set a goal, and they also have to commit resources to pursue the efficiency. Okay, and the other critical role of the CEO and the top managers is to facilitate the cross-functional cooperation. Yeah, so for example, for the product design, okay, for the product design, they are easy to manufacture. In these situations, okay, it's need the R&D department and the production department to integrate and communicate with each other. Yeah, because okay, product design is for the R&D, right? And for the manufacturing is for the production department. So if the firms they wanted to have the product design, they are easy to manufacture. Okay, so the R&D department and the production department, they have to coordinate with each other. Okay, so in these situations, the CEO and the top managers, they have to, okay, facilitate the cross-functional cooperation, and then the firms can, okay, enhance the operation efficiency. Okay, so this is each functional strategy. Okay, how the R&D, marketing, production, human resources, okay, infrastructures, okay, how they can help firms to increase its efficiency. Okay, so this is the first part. Okay, and the next, okay, we will talk about how the functional labor strategy help firms to achieve superior quality. Okay, so do you remember we said that quality as the reliability and excellence, right? So quality can be sort of the term of two dimensions: quality as the reliability and quality as the excellent. So higher the quality products are reliable, do well the job for which they were designed, and are perceived by consumers to have superior attribute. Okay, so do you remember that? Okay, quality as the reliability and excellence. So here we can see superior quality provide the company with two advantages. First, it allows the company to differentiate its products from those offered by the competitors. So the firms, they can charge the higher premium price for its products. Yeah, because this is the differentiate its product from the other offers by the rivals. It's unique. So of course, it can charge a higher premium price for his products. And then the other one, higher the quality. Okay, it means okay, it limited the defects or errors from the production process. So this can reduce the waste, increase the efficiency, lower the cost structure of the company, and then increase its profitability. Okay, so we can say that because these firms, okay, its products have the higher quality, and they have the fewer deficient over the errors from the production process, right? So it means that the firm do not waste its materials, do not waste its resources, and the employees do not, okay, spend the time to fix this mistake. So this is why the eliminated defect or errors from the production process can help firms to reduce the waste, reduce its cost structure, okay, and then increase its profitability. Okay, so from this slide, we can understand that superior quality, it can help firms to differentiate its product, so the firms can charge the higher premium price for its products. And the other way, the higher the quality can also help firms to reduce its cost structures and then increase its profitability. Okay. Okay, so how can firms achieve superior reliability? Okay, maybe the firms, they can introduce some management, for example, like total quality management, TQM. Yeah, this can help firms to increase the product's reliability to perform consistently as designed and real breakdown. Yeah, so firms can use the total quality management, okay, to increase the firm's reliabilities. And here, okay, 5 factors of the TQM. Yeah, the TQM, it can improve the quality, okay, it means the cost decrease. This, as I mentioned earlier, okay, because the employee has less rework, fewer mistake, fewer delay, right? And the better use of the time and the materials. So this can help firms reduce its cost structures. As a second, as a result, the firm's productivity will improve. And when firms have the better quality, this can help firm to have a higher market shares, allow the company to raise the price, and then increase the firm's profitability and allow the firms to stay in the business, and finally enable the company to create the more jobs. Okay, so firms can use the total quality management to increase their reliability. Okay, and then last, okay, I will talk about how to improve the quality as the excellence. And the product can be differentiated by attributes that collectively define the product excellence. And for this table, okay, we can see that there are many types of the attributes. So for example, like the product attributes, it includes these products' form, features, performance, durability, reliability, and style. And the third is the attribute like ordering access, delivery, customer training, and customer consulting, maintenance and repair. Okay, and for the personnel attribute, okay, are like the competence, right, competence, and reliability, responsiveness, and communication. Okay, so we can see, okay, many types of the attributes, right? So how can firms improve the quality? Okay, improve the essence. Here, first, we can see the firms, they have to collect the market intelligence indicator which of these attributes are mostly important to the customers. So yes, that means marketing. Okay, for firms, they have to collect the marketing information or do the survey. Yeah, and to collect the data and to understand what are the customer needs. Yeah, what the customer needs, what kind of the attribute are most important to the customers. So the firm have to do some survey and okay, do the analysis. Okay, and the second, design the product so that these attributes are embedded in the products. Yeah. Second, when the firms, okay, they understand, okay, these attributes are important to the customer. So when firms would like to design their products, okay, they have to embed this attribute into the products, right? And the third, the companies must decide which of the significant attributes to promote and how best to position them in the mind of the customers. Okay, so for example, like for example, like a car. Okay, do you know the Volvo? Okay, the brand is Volvo, and we can see that the car of the Volvo actually it have the good design. It have the good design and it have the safety. It also is the I think it's reliability and durability. Yes, however, for this many attributes, Volvo is emphasized on its safety. Yeah, so when you advertising, when the Volvo advertising this his products, you can see he emphasizes is the safety, right? So the position layer the card, the emphasis is the safety, even though they have the other attribute, good design, reliability, and durability. Yeah, however, the emphasis is layer the safety. So this is why the company must decide which of the significant attribute to promote and how best to position them in the mind of the consumers. So now when we think about the Volvo's car, first, for my image, I will say, Volvo's car is the very safe. This is why, because the Volvo emphasize, and the position them in the their car is the safe. And finally, recognize the competition is not stationary. Yeah, because the environment is changing, so the competition is also the changing. So the firms, they have to always, they have to change their product attribute, and they also have to often to do the survey and collect the market the information. Yeah, and to understand what are the customer wants, what our customer their needs. Yeah, and then they have to maybe they have to modify the products design. So this is the for the excellence. And the next is the achieving the superior innovation. As we know, innovation is very important for firms because it is the most important source of the competitive advantage. Yeah, this is because that the innovation can result in new products that better satisfy customer needs. And the innovation can also improve the quality of the existing products. And it can also reduce the cost of making products and that the customer wants. And of course, if the firms they have the higher level of the innovation capabilities, they can differentiate its products and charge the premium price. They can also lower its cost structure below the level of its competitors. So this is the why the innovation is important for firms. Although the innovation is important for firms, however, innovation has the higher failure rate. Why? The reasons for the higher failure rate of the innovation. As we know, innovation is risky. Yeah, and sometimes the firms they have to invest a lot of the resources. Yeah, so resources, and it also have the higher failure rates. So next we will talk about the reason for higher failure rates of the innovation. First, demand for innovation is essentially uncertainty. It is essentially uncertain. Although the firms, maybe the firms do a very good market research, do a very good market survey. Yes, the good market research and the market survey can help firms to reduce or minimize the uncertainty about likely future demand. However, this kind of the uncertainty cannot be fully eradicated. Yeah, it still exists, right? So demand for innovation is essentially uncertain. Yeah, although the firms do the very good the market survey and the research, however, it cannot be fully eradicated. And the second, technology is pretty commercialized. Okay, products is not well adapted to the customer needs because of factors such as the poor design and poor quality. Yeah, so for example, like the mobile phones, as Microsoft introduced its Windows mobile phones before the Apple's the iPhone. Yeah, before the iPhone, okay? However, at that times, because the Windows the mobile phones use the physical the keyboard, and they have the smaller the screen. Yeah, so it's the poor design and the poor qualities. So it is not attract, okay, for the customers. Yes, okay, so here is a lot. Products is not well adapted to customer needs because of the factors such as the poor design and the poor quality. Okay, so like the Windows mobile phones, maybe because they have the poor design. Okay, physical the keyboard and the smaller the screen. So the customers maybe feel this the product is not a convenience. Yeah, for them. Yeah, so of course the customers will buy these products. Okay, and the third, for the position strategy. Sometimes firms may have the poor position strategy. Here, okay, the specific set of the option adapted for products based on price, distribution, promotion, and advertising, and the product features. And for the Windows the mobile phones, okay, apart from the design, maybe the other reason is because the Windows the mobile phones have the poor position strategy. Because at a lot of times, Windows the mobile phones, it falls on the business user. It falls on the businessman. However, like the Apple's iPhone, okay, is forced on retail the consumers. So you can see their position are different, right? One is for the business user and the business name, and the other one, like the Apple's the iPhone, it falls on the retail consumers. So they are different position. And in the end, the Windows mobile phones, okay, failed. However, Apple's the iPhones succeed, right? And the next, okay, marketing a technology for which that is not enough the demand. Okay, this means that yes, maybe this the product, okay, is used very the new technology, novel the technology. However, customers do not need this kind of the technology, right? So the customer do not need it. Yeah, so this is why there is not enough the demand, okay, for this the products. So of course these products will fail. Yeah, and the finally, slow marketing of the products. When products are slowly marketed, firm will lose the advantage. Okay, may lose is the first mover advantage. Maybe, okay, at this time, this the products, okay, is the technology, is the attractive, is the new. However, because it's low marketing of this the products, so the technology may be already out of the days. Okay, so the times for this the products to the market is the very important. Yeah, if the product are slowly market, firmware loss is the advantage. And maybe, okay, is the technology maybe already out of the days. So this is the, okay, the find the reasons, okay, for the higher fail rate of the innovation. Okay, as we know, okay, innovation is the important for firms, right? However, innovation also have the higher failure rate. So the problem is how can firms reduce the innovation failures? Okay, firms have to make sure that there is the tight integration between the R&D, production, and marketing. Yeah, the tight the cross the functional integration can help a company ensure that product development projects are driven by the customer needs. Okay, so for example, like the marketing, okay, marketing department, it has the because it do the survey, do some the analysis, so you have the data and the information about what are the customer wants, what are the customer needs. So the marketing department have to pass this the information to the R&D department, so that the R&D department can design the product that meet the customer needs. So the close integration between the R&D and the marketing is achieved to ensure that product development projects are driven by the needs of the customers. So in other words, it means that close integration between the R&D and marketing. Okay, the firms can provide appropriate the product that meet the customer needs and wants. And the last, okay, new products are designed for us of the manufacturers. So here, R&D can design the products that meet with the manufacturer's requirement. If the firms, okay, the R&D department can design a product that meet with the manufacturer's requirement. Okay, this can help firms to reduce the manufacturer's the cost. Okay, and leave the less room for mistake. So this, however, this need the firms, the R&D and the production, okay, department to communicate with each others, and this can help firms to lower its the cost and increase the product's the qualities. Okay. And if the firms, okay, have the greater integration among the different function, okay, here developed costs are not allowed to spread out of the control. Okay, so for example, integration between the R&D and the production can help a company to ensure that new products are designed with the manufacturer's capabilities. Okay, so this means that when R&D, okay, if we designed a product, yes, it's not designed very good and they use the very novel technologies. However, the firms for the production department, they do not, okay, have this kind of the manufacturer's capabilities. The firms still cannot produce these products. So this means the firms they are the R&D department, yeah, they have to redesign his product that meet with the manufacturer's capability, right? So if the firms they have the good integration among the, for example, like the R&D and the production department. The time it takes to develop products and bring it to the market is the minimized. Yeah, and of course, the firms, they can have the higher, they can have the higher successful rate of their products. So how to reduce the innovation failures? Okay, so from this two slides, we can understand that the integration between the different function like the R&D, production, and marketing, okay, is the very important here. Okay. And finally, okay, how firms can achieve superior customer responsiveness. Companies must give the customers what they want, when they want it, and at the price they are willing to pay. Okay, as long as the company's long-term profitability is not compromised in this process. So how can firms achieve the superior customer responsiveness? First, focus on the customer and know customer needs. Yes, like the marketing, so this is why the firms, they have to do some market survey and analysis, right? Because they wanted to know the customer needs. So of course, if you wanted to respond to the customer responsiveness, the first step is that you have to know what they really want, right? Second, demonstrate leadership. Customer focus must begin at the top of the organization on time. So it means if these companies, these firms, they want to emphasize the customer responsiveness, of course, it is from the CEO, it's top the manager to the first line employee. All of them have focus on the customers and emphasize the customer focus. Okay. And the third, firms have to shape the employee's attitude. Okay, let's emphasize on the customer focus. Okay, so here, leadership alone is not enough to attain a superior customer focus. Yeah, so the firms, they have to reform to reinforce their reinforce the employees' mindset. So in these situations, the incentive system is very important. Yeah, so the incentive systems within the firms, within the company, should reward the employee for satisfying the customers. Yeah, give them the incentive. Let them put more emphasis on customer. And finally, satisfies the customer needs. Okay, so first, customization. Yeah, if possible, to fill the requirement of the individual customers, yeah, to respond to their needs. Over reducing the time it takes to respond to over satisfied customer needs. Okay, so reduce the response times. Okay, so how can firms achieve the superior customer responsiveness? Okay, first, focus on the customer and know their needs. Second, demonstrate the leadership. Okay, the CEO, the top managers have to commit, okay, in the customer focus. Third, show the employee attitude. Okay, give them the incentive to reinforce their mindset. and reward employees for satisfying the customers. And finally, satisfy the customer needs. Okay, first, if possible, okay, we can fulfill the requirement of the individual customers. Okay, it means the customization, or reduce the response time. Okay, so there are some ways, okay, that can help firms to achieve the customer responsiveness. Okay, so this is the content for the functional level strategy. Okay, thank you for your listening.